Imagine this. You're on one of the world's most luxurious cruise ships. It's a floating palace of marble, crystal, and endless buffets. The Mediterranean night is calm, the stars are out, and the only thing on your mind is which cocktail to order next. You feel completely safe, because why wouldn't you? This ship is a triumph of human engineering, packed with every safety system imaginable. The person in command is a seasoned captain, trained for every scenario. What could possibly go wrong? But tonight, the greatest threat to over 4,200 lives isn't hidden in the deep ocean. It's not a rogue wave or a mechanical failure. The most dangerous thing on this ship is standing on the bridge, looking out at the coast. And in one single, reckless decision, he will turn a dream vacation into a nightmare that shocks the world and create a lasting symbol of catastrophic human failure. This is not just the story of how the Costa Concordia sank. This is the story of why. To understand the full, shocking truth, a truth of ego, panic, and abandoned duty, you need to see this through to the very end. If you value deep dive investigations that uncover the real human stories behind the headlines, you're in the right place. Make sure you're subscribed and hit that like button. It genuinely helps us bring you more content like this. And let us know in the comments, what other modern disaster deserves this deep, factual breakdown? Now, let's go back to the beginning of the end. Now, let's begin the story of how human error sank a modern Titanic. On January 13, 2012, the Costa Concordia was at the peak of its glory. This 952-foot-long Leviathan wasn't just a ship, it was a statement. It had swimming pools, a grand theater, a Formula One simulator, and even a cigar lounge. For the passengers boarding that week, it represented the ultimate escape. The crew, over 1,000 strong, were there to cater to their every whim. Commanding this floating city was Captain Francesco Schettino, a man with over 2 decades of experience. The scheduled route was routine, a 7-day cruise from Civitavecchia, Italy, to Savona and back, passing safely west of the island of Giglio. But on this night, routine was about to be shattered by a toxic mix of ego and recklessness. Schettino decided, on his own authority, to perform an illegal salute or incino to the island of Giglio. This was a maneuver to show off the ship to the island's residents and, notably, to a friend and former captain, Mario Palombo, who was dining on the bridge as a guest. The planned route was deleted from the navigation computer. What followed was an improvised, dangerously close approach to a coastline littered with known, charted hazards. On the bridge, tension simmered. Second Officer Sylvia Coronica, who was at the helm, later testified that she felt a bit uneasy and noted the ship was going too close. The ship's electronic chart display and information system blared multiple audio and visual warnings. Danger! Shallow water, it screamed. According to investigators, these warnings were either ignored or silenced. The depth under the keel went from safe to critical in minutes. 150 meters, 100 meters, 50 meters. At one point, it read a mere 9.8 meters, while the Concordia's draft was over 8 meters. They were skimming the seafloor. At 9:45 p.m., the inevitable happened. With a deafening, metallic shudder that reverberated through the entire hull, the Concordia struck a granite outcrop known as Le Scole. The rock acted like a can opener, slicing a gash roughly 160 feet long in the port side. Seawater, with the force of a torrent, exploded into the engine rooms and watertight compartments. The engines died instantly. The lights flickered and went out, replaced by the eerie glow of emergency lighting. The ship gave a sickening lurch to port and began to list. In the grand dining rooms, the initial shock was met with confusion, not panic. Glasses slid off tables. A musician's keyboard toppled over. The first announcement from the crew was a masterclass in dangerous misinformation. We are experiencing a temporary electrical failure. The technicians are already working on it. For your safety, please remain seated. This was the first critical failure, the refusal to communicate the truth. For nearly an hour, a golden hour that could have been used for an orderly evacuation, Captain Schettino did not sound the abandoned ship alarm, general emergency signal. He called Costa Crocier's crisis manager, not to initiate rescue protocols, but to lament, "I've screwed myself." He seemed paralyzed, hoping the situation would somehow fix itself. Down below, reality was more visceral. Corridors on the lower decks were already flooding. The list increased to 20 degrees, then 30. Hallways became steep, slippery slopes. Lifeboats on the starboard side swung uselessly away from the hull, impossible to deploy. Panic, once a subtle undercurrent, broke into the open. Families were separated in the dark, twisting labyrinths. Elderly passengers clung to railings, unable to move. Children cried as their parents pushed them into lifeboats, only to be unable to follow as the gap widened. While this chaos unfolded, Captain Schettino's actions crossed from incompetence into infamy. Shortly after 11 p.m., with hundreds still trapped, he left the bridge. He made his way to a lifeboat and abandoned the Costa Concordia. His subsequent radio conversation with Italian Coast Guard officer Gregorio De Falco in Livorno is perhaps the most damning record of failed leadership in maritime history. De Falco, Schettino, is that you? Schettino, yes. The ship is listing. De Falco, what are you doing? Are you abandoning the rescue? Schettino, no, I'm not abandoning. I'm here, but the other lifeboat is stopped. De Falco, you go back on board. That is an order. You have declared abandoned ship. Now I am in charge. Go back on board. Is that clear? Schettino, I am here with the rescue boats. I am here. I am not going anywhere. De Falco, go back on board. Veda a bordo, Caso. Schettino never went back. His physical abandonment cemented the moral collapse of the entire event. Rescue efforts, heroically undertaken by the Italian Coast Guard and the residents of Giglio, who took to the sea in their own fishing boats, were now a desperate scramble against time and a tilting hull. By dawn, the world saw the surreal, haunting image. The once proud Concordia lay on its side, half submerged, like a beached metal whale just meters from Giglio's shore. In the days that followed, the death toll was finalized. 32 people lost their lives. Some drowned inside the ship. Others died of hypothermia in the 14 degrees Celsius water. One victim, a disabled woman, was tragically left behind in her cabin after her husband was told to evacuate without her. The salvage operation that followed was a 5-year, $1.5 billion engineering marvel, a Herculean effort to right the wreck and remove it without causing an environmental disaster. But the legal and moral reckoning was just as significant. The investigation was unequivocal. The black box data proved the unauthorized deviation. The delayed alarm was indefensible. Schettino's defense, blaming a helmsman error, a faulty Chinese-made circuit breaker, and even the chaos of the evacuation itself, was dismissed. In 2017, he was convicted of multiple counts of manslaughter, causing a maritime disaster, and abandoning ship with passengers still on board. He was sentenced to 16 years in prison. So, let's return to our initial, chilling questions. What if the greatest danger was the person in command? The Costa Concordia proves it absolutely can be. The technology worked, the alarms sounded, the hull stayed afloat for hours. The failure was human, a failure of judgment, a failure of courage, a failure of duty. How did it become a symbol of human failure? Because its wreckage is not just steel and fiberglass. It is a monument to the consequences when arrogance overrides procedure, when hesitation overrides action, and when self-preservation overrides humanity itself. The ocean that night was not the enemy. The charted rock was not the enemy. The enemy was a profound breakdown of the human systems designed to ensure safety, discipline, responsibility, and leadership. This story is a permanent warning. In our age of advanced automation and AI, the Costa Concordia reminds us that the most critical system, and the most fragile, will always be the human being in the loop. If this deep, factual journey into a modern tragedy held your attention, please support our channel. Your likes tell YouTube this content matters. Your subscriptions allow us to invest more in research, and your comments directly shape what we investigate next. What other event, where technology, psychology, and fate collided, should we dissect? Let us know below, and thank you for watching until the very end.